Stop, put the phone down, walk to your change jar right now, because if you have a Lincoln Wheat Penny sitting in your house tonight, you may be holding a coin worth more than your monthly mortgage payment. The United States government produced these copper coins for 51 years, from 1943 to 1953, and during that production run, they made mistakes, catastrophic mistakes, coins that were never supposed to leave the mint, coins they tried to bury. Coins the collector community has been quietly hunting for over half a century. 0040. Today is the most complete wheat penny value guide ever produced for the year 2026. 3 specific dates, counted down from least valuable to most, building to the single most dangerous wheat penny still hiding in American pocket change tonight, the one that has sold at certified auction for over $100,000. Stay until the end, because what you are about to hear will change every wheat penny you ever look at again. Listen carefully. The wheat penny is not just an old coin. It is the longest-running American coin. 0117. Design ever struck. From 1909, when President Theodore Roosevelt commissioned it, to 1958, when the mint replaced the wheat reverse with the Lincoln Memorial. 49 years of production, billions of coins, and inside those billions, a small number of coins were struck with errors so significant, composition variations so rare, and mint mark anomalies so valuable that a single example can fund a retirement. Most Americans have wheat pennies sitting in their possession right now, in a coffee can in the basement, in a 0156 sock drawer, in a glass jar above the refrigerator. They have no idea what they have. Today we change that. The list begins now. Today we are uncovering the remarkable story of the 1943 D-Steel Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin born during World War II, created in a time of global conflict, and still hunted by collectors more than 80 years later. And before we begin, pay very close attention. Because hidden among millions of ordinary 1943 steel cents are rare varieties, exceptional high-grade survivors, and one legendary mistake that has become one of the most famous treasures in American coin collecting. Stay with me until the end, because what happened to this penny during the war changed American coinage forever. Welcome back to Rare Coins Info. Let's begin. In 1943, America was fully engaged in World War II. Factories across the nation were operating around the clock. Steel mills roared. Shipyards expanded. Aircraft production reached unprecedented levels. Every available resource was being directed toward the war effort. Copper was one of the metals desperately needed by the military. It was used for shell casings, electrical wiring, communications equipment, and countless other wartime necessities. The United States Treasury faced a difficult question. How could the nation continue producing pennies while conserving critical war materials? The answer would create one of the most unusual coins ever issued by the United States Mint. For the first and only time in American history, the Lincoln cent would be struck from zinc-coated steel instead of bronze. The result was the famous 1943 steel cent. Millions of Americans immediately noticed the difference. The coin looked silver gray instead of copper brown. It felt different. It sounded different. And many people initially confused it with a dime. The Denver Mint alone produced approximately 217.6 million 1943 D steel cents during the year. Despite this enormous mintage, collectors remain fascinated by these coins because of their unique wartime history and the challenges of finding truly original examples today. Imagine holding one in your hand. The coin measures 19.05 millimeters across and weighs about 2.7 grams. Its surface is covered with a thin layer of zinc, protecting the steel underneath. On the front appears Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Below the date sits a small but important mint mark. The letter D. That tiny letter tells us This coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Turn the coin over and you'll see the famous wheat cent reverse. 2 wheat stalks frame the words 1 cent and United States of America. This design served the nation from 1909 through 1958 and remains one of the most beloved coin designs ever created. But here is where things become interesting. Most 1943 D steel cents are not rare. Many survive today. What collectors are really searching for are examples with exceptional preservation. The zinc coating used in 1943 created a problem. When the coating wore away, the steel underneath became vulnerable to rust. Millions of coins corroded. Millions more were damaged. Others were cleaned, polished, replated, or altered by well-meaning owners trying to improve their appearance. Finding a completely original example with strong luster and no corrosion is far more difficult than many people realize. Professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC place tremendous importance on originality when evaluating steel cents. A coin with untouched surfaces, strong luster, and minimal marks can command significantly higher prices than a similar coin that has been cleaned or reprocessed. Collectors often describe premium examples as having bright, frosty zinc surfaces with a distinctive cartwheel effect when rotated under light. And then we arrive at one of the most fascinating varieties in the series. The 1943 DD repunched mint mark. Most people would never notice this tiny detail. During the die preparation process, mint employees manually punched mint marks into working dies. Occasionally, the mint mark was punched more than once. When this happened, traces of the original punch remained visible. On certain 1943 D steel cents, specialists can see evidence of a D punched over another D. This documented variety has become one of the most sought-after steel cent varieties in the Lincoln series. A certified 1943 DD steel cent graded MS67 by PCGS realized more than $10,000 at auction, demonstrating how dramatically value can increase when rarity and condition combine. Think about that for a moment. 2 coins struck in the same year. The same denomination. The same design. Yet one might trade for a few dollars, while another can command thousands because of a tiny minting characteristic visible only under magnification. That is the power of numismatics. That is why collectors continue searching through old collections, estate holdings, and inherited coin albums. But the real surprise is still ahead. Because whenever collectors discuss the 1943 steel cent, conversation inevitably turns toward one of the greatest minting mistakes in American history. The legendary 1943 bronze cent. During the transition from bronze to steel, a handful of bronze planchets from 1942 reportedly remained in the minting equipment. When these leftover bronze blanks were struck with 1943 dies, they created one of the most famous era coins ever produced. The rarest and most famous example is the 1943 D bronze cent from Denver. Only one example is widely recognized by experts. Its value has reached hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction, making it one of the most celebrated era coins in the hobby. This distinction is important. Most 1943 D steel cents are exactly what they should be, zinc-coated steel. The ultra-valuable bronze versions are extraordinary mint errors and should not be confused with normal steel cents. So how can you identify what you have? Start with a magnet. A genuine steel cent will stick to a magnet because steel is magnetic. A bronze cent will not. Next, check the weight. A steel cent should weigh approximately 2.7 grams. A bronze cent weighs closer to 3.11 grams. Never clean the coin. Never polish it. Never attempt to improve its appearance. Original surfaces are often more valuable than bright surfaces. If you believe you have an unusual example, professional authentication through PCGS or NGC is essential. As we move deeper into the story of the 1943 D steel Lincoln Wheat Penny, one thing becomes clear. This isn't just a coin. It's a surviving artifact from one of the most important periods in American history. A coin created when the nation redirected its resources toward victory. A coin that circulated through wartime America. A coin that still inspires treasure hunters more than 8 decades later. And somewhere tonight, another collector may be discovering one in an old box, a forgotten drawer, or an inherited collection. The question is simple. Could the next great discovery be waiting in yours? And next up, 1953 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny Value Guide, Rare Errors, Auction Records, and Hidden Treasure. Coin Profile. Coin Lincoln Wheat Cent. Year 1953. Mint Mark D. Denver. Designer Victor David Brenner. Composition 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc. Weight 3.11 grams. Diameter 19. Edge plain. Series Lincoln Wheat Cents 1909-1958. Mintage 700,515,000. Historical background. The year 1953 was a turning point in American history. Dwight D. Eisenhower had just become President of the United States. The Korean War was approaching its final stages, post-war prosperity was expanding across America, and millions of Lincoln Wheat Cents continued flowing through commerce every day. At the Denver Mint, more than 700 million Lincoln Wheat Pennies were struck during the year. While that sounds common, collectors know that surviving examples in exceptional condition are surprisingly scarce. Why collectors chase the 1953 D Wheat Penny? Most 1953 D cents entered circulation immediately and remained there for decades. Because of this, many examples became heavily worn, original red mint color faded, surface damage accumulated, uncirculated examples became increasingly difficult to locate. Collectors assembling complete wheat cent sets actively seek premium examples with original red surfaces and strong strikes. Visual identification. Look carefully at the obverse. You should see Abraham Lincoln facing right, the date 1953, the D mint mark below the date, Liberty to the left, In God We Trust across the top. On the reverse, 2 wheat ears, 1 cent centered, United States of America, EPLURBUSUNUM above. Original red color. The most valuable examples retain their original bright red copper appearance. Collectors classify color as BN browns, RB red browns, RD red. Red examples command the highest premiums. Documented varieties. 1953 DDRPM FS501. One of the best-known varieties for this issue is the repunched mint mark. So it happened. Before mint marks were added to master hubs, mint employees manually punched the D into working dies. Occasionally, the punch was applied more than once. This created visible doubling around the mint mark. Identification. Extra outline around the D secondary image beneath the mint mark, best viewed with magnification. PCGS recognizes this variety as FS5-1. Another documented RPM variety, FS502, is also known among specialists. Auction records. Verified auction records show. Regular 1953, D Lincoln cent. Auction record, MS-67, examples sold for $7,475 through Bowers and Meriner. PCGS lists this as the auction record for the issue. 1953, DDRPM FS501. Auction record. MS-67 RD example realized $3,525 at Legend Rare Coin Auctions. These prices demonstrate how condition and rarity dramatically influence value. Current value ranges. Circulated examples. Typically worth a few cents to a few dollars depending on condition. Uncirculated brown examples. Often range from several dollars to tens of dollars. MS-65 red examples. Usually command significantly stronger premiums. MS-66, MS-67 red examples. Can reach hundreds or thousands of dollars depending on certification, eye appeal, and market demand. Always consult recent auction records because values fluctuate. Grading importance. Professional grading services include PCGS, NGC. Grading evaluates wear strike quality, surface preservation, luster, eye appeal. For common date wheat cents, condition is often everything. The difference between MS-65 and MS-67 can represent thousands of dollars. Authentication tips. Never clean a coin. Cleaning can permanently reduce collector value. User 5x10x loop, proper lighting, cotton gloves if necessary. Check. Date, mint, mark, surface originality, possible RPM varieties. If you believe you have a high-grade example or recognized variety, consider professional authentication. Where to sell. Major venues include heritage auctions, great collections, Stack's Bowers, major coin shows, certified dealers. Certified examples generally attract stronger bidding because buyers trust the authentication. Final thoughts. The 1953 D Lincoln Wheat Penny is a reminder that rarity is not always about low mintage. More than 700 million were struck, yet truly exceptional survivors remain highly sought after. A coin worth 1 cent in commerce can become a prized collectible when history, preservation, and collector demand come together. Before you dismiss any wheat penny, take a closer look. The next great discovery could already be sitting in an old coin album, a family collection, a forgotten drawer, or a jar of pennies waiting to be examined. Next up. Coin name, Lincoln Wheat Cent. Year 1955. Mint mark, D. Denver. Series, Lincoln Wheat Cents, 1909-1958. Composition, 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc. Weight, 3.11 grams. Diameter, 19.05. Edge plain. Designer, Victor David Brenner. Mintage, 563,257,500. Introduction. Some of the most valuable treasures in American numismatics are not gold coins, silver dollars, or rare colonial issues. Sometimes they are humble copper pennies that circulated through grocery stores, gas stations, and lunch counters decades ago. The 1955 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of those coins. At first glance, it appears ordinary. Hundreds of millions were produced at the Denver Mint. Most examples are worth only modest premiums over face value. Yet hidden among these coins are scarce high-grade survivors, sought-after mint varieties, and historical pieces that continue attracting collectors more than 70 years after they were struck. For collectors assembling complete wheat cent sets, the 1955 D remains an important issue from the final years of the wheat penny era. Historical background. The year 1955 was a fascinating period in American history. President Dwight D. Eisenhower was leading the nation. Television ownership was exploding. The interstate highway system was about to reshape the country. Cold War tensions influenced nearly every aspect of American life. At the same time, the United States Mint was producing enormous quantities of coinage to support a rapidly expanding economy. The Denver Mint struck more than 563 million Lincoln cents during 1955. Most entered circulation immediately and performed their duty in everyday commerce. Few people imagined that decades later collectors would carefully examine these same coins under magnification, searching for varieties, exceptional preservation, and investment quality examples. But the story becomes even more interesting. The most famous Lincoln cent of 1955 is actually the Philadelphia 1955 double die obverse. Because of that legendary era, many collectors began paying closer attention to every 1955 Lincoln cent, including those struck in Denver. And that attention continues today. Coin design and specificators. When you hold a 1955 D wheat penny, you are holding a design that first appeared in 1909. On the obverse appears Abraham Lincoln facing right. The inscription, "In God We Trust," arcs above his portrait. Liberty appears to the left. The date 1955 appears to the right. Directly below the date sits the small D mint mark identifying production at the Denver Mint. The reverse features two wheat ears framing the words 1 cent. Above appears EPLUIBUSUNUM. Below appears United States of America. Victor David Brenner's design became one of the most recognizable coin designs in American history. The coin weighs approximately 3.11 grams and measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter. Its copper composition gives it the rich reddish appearance collectors admire. Visual inspection guide. When examining a 1955 D wheat penny, collectors focus on several key characteristics. First, inspect the date carefully. The numerals should be clear and well defined. Next, examine the D mint mark. Use a magnifying glass or loupe. Look for unusual shapes, doubling, or signs of repunching. Then evaluate the surfaces. Original mint luster often appears as a rotating cartwheel effect when the coin is tilted under light. Color is extremely important. Collectors classify wheat cents as brown BNs, red-brown RB, red RD. Full red examples are usually the most desirable. Inspect Lincoln's cheek, jawline, and hair details. These are among the first areas where wear becomes visible. On the reverse, examine the wheat ears. Strong detail in the wheat lines often indicates a better strike and higher grade preservation. Documented varieties and errors. The 1955 D does not possess the legendary double die obverse seen on the Philadelphia issue. However, several documented varieties exist. Repunched mint marks, RPM. Several RPM varieties have been catalogued by specialists. These occurred when the mint mark punch was applied more than once to a working die. Identification requires magnification. Collectors search for extra outlines around the D. Secondary impressions. Doubling near the mint mark. Die cracks. Some examples display documented die cracks. These appear as raised lines on the surface of the coin. Minor die cracks are generally collectible, but usually command modest premiums unless dramatic. Off-center strikes. Genuine off-center strikes are known. Value depends heavily on percentage off-center, visibility of the date, Overall condition. Broad strikes. Broad-struck examples occur when a coin is struck without the restraining collar. These pieces can bring significant premiums depending on condition. Struck through errors. Occasionally foreign material became trapped between the die and planchet. This produced unusual surface impressions. Collectors often pay premiums for dramatic examples. Important fact check. No documented evidence currently confirms a major double die variety for the 1955 D comparable to the famous Philadelphia 1955 double die obverse. Any claims suggesting otherwise should be treated with caution. Collector demand. Why do collectors continue pursuing the 1955 D? Several reasons. First, it belongs to the final decade of wheat cent production. Second, many collectors build complete date and mint collections. Third, premium red examples become surprisingly scarce at the highest grades. Registry set competition also increases demand. Collectors competing for top-ranked sets often seek the finest certified examples available. This creates significant value differences between average and exceptional coins. Grading importance. Professional grading dramatically affects value. The leading services are PCGS, NGC. Collectors evaluate. Strike, surface preservation, luster, color, eye appeal. Wear. A circulated coin may be worth only a modest amount. An uncirculated coin with blazing red surfaces can be worth substantially more. At the highest mint state grades, values increase dramatically because so few examples survive with pristine surfaces. MS-65 red examples attract strong collector interest. MS-66 red examples become much scarcer. MS-67 red examples represent elite survivors of the issue. Auction analysis. Market values fluctuate constantly. Collectors should always consult recent auction records. General market categories. Circulated examples typically sell for small premiums above face value depending on condition. About uncirculated examples. Often command stronger premiums because much original detail remains. Mint state red examples can range from tens of dollars into hundreds of dollars depending on grade. Top population coins. The finest certified examples have realized thousands of dollars at major auctions. Auction records. Auction records change over time. Before publishing a video, verify the latest records using PCGS Coin Facts, NGC Price Guide, Heritage Auctions Archives, Great Collections Archives, Stack's Bowers Auction Archives. Authentication Guide. Always verify. Date, mint mark, weight, diameter, surface characteristics, color designation. Never clean a coin. Cleaning often causes permanent damage and lowers collector value. Use a 5x10x loop. Digital scale. Proper lighting. Protective holders. Submit potentially valuable examples to PCGS or NGC when authentication is warranted. Selling guide. Collectors typically sell valuable wheat cents through heritage auctions, great collections, Stack's Bowers galleries, major coin shows, professional coin dealers. Certified examples generally attract stronger bids because buyers have confidence in authenticity and grade. Before selling, research comparable sales. Review recent auction records. Compare certification populations. Understand Current market demand. Conclusion. The 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny proves that rarity is not always determined by low mintage. More than 563 million were struck, yet truly exceptional survivors remain surprisingly elusive. A coin that once purchased everyday goods now serves as a tangible connection to American history. Every wheat penny tells a story. Some tell stories worth only a few cents. Others tell stories worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The difference is knowledge. That is why collectors continue searching through old coin albums, inherited collections, estate boxes, bank rolls, and forgotten jars. Because the next remarkable discovery may already be waiting to be found.